Some fantasy uses gunpowder weapons and some avoids it like a plague. Why? It comes down to implications of technological development. Gunpowder is one of important aspects of the industrial warfare. It associates people to modernity, technological development, and industry itself. Therefore, its usage always has thematic importance. In Lord of the Rings, gunpowder is used only by the progressive forces of evil. Orcs invented gunpowder, and Saruman's troops utilize it in the attack on Helm's Deep. This goes hand in hand with industrial theme which forces of evil have going for them. The free people are staunchly medieval. Their manufacturing is artisanal, being relatively low in volume, highly individual and artistic, focused on quality of both function and form. It is craftsmanship. Forces of evil, for their part, are highly industrial. Much like combatants of World War I, they are fighting an industrial war. Their weapons are of lower quality but produced in high volumes, and the expendability of their troops is driven home with the fast-breeding orcs. This, then, is one of major issues with using gunpowder in fantasy. Fantasy is an idealistic representation of the past, much like science fiction is representation of the future. But using gunpowder, and other industrial elements, means that this past is in passing into far more familiar present. It puts an expiration date on the whole thing. Of course, there is a lot of post-medieval fantasy out there. Futuristic fantasy such as Warhammer 40,000, or Napoleonic War-era fantasy such as Temeraire, all prove that fantasy is not constrained by technology. But usage of technology has a thematic importance for the setting, and should thus always reflect the values and ideas behind the work itself. A fantasy that is set in eras after the Middle Ages simply cannot avoid but provide commentary on industry. Yet Luddite views are so ingrained in fantasy that any fantasy depicting futuristic technology is automatically labeled as science fiction. Gunpowder weapons and industrial mode of warfare are thematically opposed to themes of humanity, heroism, and preservation which fantasy espouses. Technology is inhumane and destructive. And presence of gunpowder means introduction of chemistry, which means science. This in turn means that future advancement cannot be easily avoided. In the end, while gunpowder is not incompatible with fantasy, it is thematically opposed to it.